We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you all of the new Patek Philippe's from Baselworld. Hi guys, thanks for joining me off hours. We are streaming live and giving you all of the new Pateks as they've been released. A couple of health concerns have kept me close to home, but I'm going to do my best to convey the show as though we were there. Here with Patek Philippe Novelties 2019. Remember, even during Basel, there is no better place than thewatchbox.com to buy, trade, and sell your watches. I had to throw that in there. And of course, Tim_Mosso on Instagram. But let's jump in. Main feature, new Patek Philippe watches. We've got them all and they are stunning. Some of my predictions came true, so I'm going to toot my own horn here. Patek Philippe, I'm not breaking any embargoes. This comes directly from their website. First and foremost, a full bracelet stainless steel Nautilus annual calendar. I am happy to reveal a new Nautilus. Much like the old, they discontinued the silver and the gray dials. This is what Terry Stern hath wrought. We are talking the 5726 1A014. This is a blue gradient dial with the conventional strakes, and you can see we can go full screen on that. I don't know if it's possible, but this is a stunner. This moves the 5726 more in line with the aesthetic of the much-loved 5711, and this is a small change that makes a big difference. You can see that there's an aperture calendar, as featured on the 5726, but the glorious details of this one hold up even under 10 power, with moon phase, of course, present and correct at 6 o'clock. This is still a 40.5 millimeter steel watch, deliciously only 11.3 millimeters thick. It replaces the prior two, but still 120 meters water resistant. You're going to pay about $45,930 US for this one. In theory, expect a wait list. All right, well, the Nautilus didn't have all the fun. We've got another sports watch ramping up. Let's see, friends joining me? Oh boy, we've got lots of you in here. True Lie joining me. Sergey Z, I can see Brick Lane North Star. Abu Sadiq, Abdul Rahman, oh my man from the Black Forest, Dustin Van Patten, Russell 996, Charles Ingram. I could see R Design Inc. Green is back, better believe it. And right here, Richard Howard. Friends, thank you for joining me off hours. Let's jump right back into the topic at hand. The 2017 Aquanaut. Pull that sucker up. That is the watch that introduced us to the 42.2 millimeter 5168 case. But it gains a military-inspired khaki green brother. Now this one's right up my alley, and I was a blue navy guy. But all the same, this is the 5168G010 with matching strap in a rubber green composite. An absolutely stunning watch, 42.2 millimeters again, and still in white gold. This is a rather patrician rebel we have on our hands, but only 8.25 millimeters thick. This one's a wafer. Now, of course, one of the key differences between an Aquanaut and a Nautilus is that the Aquanaut has lugs, and those add to the strength of the watch. The contrast between the lugs and the strap really breaks out the different materials well. I like that. Okay, the dial deserves mention. Can we go full screen, guys? With a texture grain, you could see it has almost a pebbly surface like sandpaper, which creates a matte effect that just soaks up the light. White gold hands, white gold applique Arabic numerals, and you can see that gorgeous geosphere cut that's recapped in the form of the molded strap. Believe it or not, guys, this is the second olive green Aquanaut after the ultra rare 5167A010. They made all of 12 of those. You might have seen that strap on Brian Goffberg's 5167. He's faking it till he makes it, but that's the real deal. Now, provided we wait, all of us can own a green Aquanaut. And remember, guys, this one is built by military veterans as they have compulsory military service in Switzerland. What will you get? Well, you'll get a lot. 42.2 millimeters for $39,690 US. It's a lot of money, but that's a lot of watch. Do you want more? You got it. If you're more of an aviator than a swimmer, the Calatrava Pilot Collection flies Gulfstream 6 in 2019 with the insane new 5520P001. What are you getting? Well, you're basically getting a grand complication that looks like the Calatrava Pilot. Let me explain. In platinum, with a dual-time display, a hideaway GMT hand, AM/PM indicators, this is a watch with a 24-hour alarm. And you can see that there's a digital indication as well as an on-off indication at 12 o'clock. Note the sunburst black of the dial, the blackened hands, the white gold indices, the railroad track outboard, and the radial date down at 6 o'clock. This is a little monster, and it's downright stealthy in black, a stealth bomber pilot, if you will. 42 millimeters, a grand complication that's still wearable at only 11.6 millimeters thick. It can be set intuitively using no fewer than 4 individual crowns with screw-down action to ensure this one still boasts 60-meter water resistance. We've got a new movement, caliber AL30660 SCFUS, 52 jewels and a monstrous 574 parts, all of them immaculately hand-finished. And this watch gets better. You get a minute repeater governor to slow down the chimes. You can see under the gold filigree style Calatrava cross right there, you get an inertial governor, just as on a minute repeater, and you get wire gongs, black polished, to slow the chimes, and the circular repeater gongs reproduce the sonic signature of a traditional Patek sonnery or minute repeater. You will pay for the privilege. Unfortunately, this one ups the ante by an order of magnitude, $226,810 US. Jumping straight in, Abdul is saying 39,000 is a lot compared to what you get for the Aquanaut, and I agree. You can get a Zin for a heck of a lot less money than that is more than 120 meters and gives you just as much green and khaki. That said, there is some ineffable je ne sais quoi about Patek Philippe, especially around Baselworld, and I can see Ordinary 999 saying this is just great. We've got a lot of friends of the new Calatrava Pilot. I can see Grant C is saying he loves the Pilot Calatrava line. You and me both. I voted the original the most disruptive watch of 2015, and I can see Abdul is a big fan of the 5520, as is Stuart Peterson, who simply quotes, "Beautiful, Stuart, you nailed it." All right, let's jump back into our new watches. We talked about a minute repeater-like alarm watch, but what if you want a real minute repeater? I have good news. Patek has got that and then some. 5078G010 to the rescue. Guys, can we go full screen with this to show the details? We know the 5078 micro-rotor automatic minute repeater well. It's been around for a while, and its 38mm case works on almost any wrist. Here's the thing, though. With its heart-stopping caliber R27 PS and that moderate case size, it's beautiful on both sides and looks good on any wrist. But here's the thing. That quiver of virtue grows now with a new Grand Faux enamel dial in black. Check it out, guys. With scrolling and arabesque at center, it's somewhere between arabesque and Art Nouveau. Note the white gold faceted applique indices. And let me explain where that contrast comes from, folks. It's a combination on Grand Faux enamel of gloss and matte surfaces, hand finished to create the contrast. It's very subtle. You have that banknote scrolling through over 20 firings at up to 800 degrees centigrade. You get something truly extraordinary, and no two will be exactly alike. There are even shades. We had a preview last year of the golden Ellipse 5738 50P. This one featured a combination of Grand Faux black and engraving. Well, Patek Philippe has upped the ante by executing entirely by painting, firing, and hand finishing. So this is something truly special. Again, it will be an application piece. There will be a wait, and after the application, the darn thing has to be made of movement and dial. This is an artisanal process from start to finish. No pricing is given for the 5078G010. But a rough guess is roughly, well, I'm going to say 400 to 450,000 based on the Platinum 5078 being priced at about $330,000. I think 400 grand is probably a smart ballpark. But then again, if you need to ask for specifics. Moving on. Patek Philippe is working overtime, but regulation play continues thanks to the new 5235 50R001, taking after my beloved and late 5235G in white gold. The new model includes a signature regulator dial. This is something we've seen since the original bowed back in 2011, with exquisite ebony and graphite detailing over a satin base. Still a 40.5mm case. You can see it features Patek's most romantic pin buckle, and the regulator fulfills my prediction from last week of 2019 new blood in this still young regulator model series. The exquisite high-tech micro-rotor movement remains, and the caliber 31260 REG finds handsome new quarters. It is a big movement, so Patek Philippe doesn't have to constrain the case back. The movement is sized for the case. That is refreshing. Look at the finger-style bridges for the train. Absolutely gorgeous, and silicon tech in the escapement and hairspring. How much? Well, all of this for $51,830 US. Fans of monster movements. This This is an impressive thing. I'm starting with the movement because I'm leading. I'm not burying my lead. Rejoice, caliber 300 rejoins the battle. No longer housed in 2016's Black Dial 6300G Grandmaster Chime, a watch I actually had the opportunity to wear and try at Patek's boutique in Geneva. The Blue Dial 2019 6300G 010 is back to give a bruising to rivals that span Richard Mille to Grubel Forsey, possibly with a detour through Lange. This is a watch that exhausts the superlatives, so let's get started. Technically, we're talking about Patek Philippe's most complicated ever wristwatch. Now, how complicated? 20 functions, including a dual time, including an alarm, including a calendar that can chime the calendar reading, a petite sonnerie, a grande sonnerie, a minute repeater. It's got all of it. A 3-day power reserve on top, simply stunning, and 2 dials thanks to a reversible case that allows you to spread those 10 functions per dial so it doesn't crowd just one. This is an amazing piece that truly justifies its Baroque styling. The mechanics inside are equal to the occasion of the somewhat bombastic style and size. What are we talking about inside? Well, I called it caliber 300, but properly, the alphabet soup is caliber 300 GS AL 36 750 QIS FUS IRM. That's right, it also has a power reserve indicator. 1,366 parts, 108 joules, all of that with a 3-day power reserve, 20 complications. It sits in a 16+ millimeter thick case between a primary dial that gives you most of the indications for daily use, and a secondary dial that gives you most of the calendar functions. In an unbelievable near 48 millimeter case, 47.7 millimeters on the wrist. You better have the forearm for this one, or it's going to be a clock on your office wall. Let's see what you guys think about this. Okay, I can see the thickness Andrew's asking, about 16.2, 16.4 millimeters. Better believe it. JB Moore joining us from Louisville, Kentucky. True Lie saying, okay, that's what Patek is really about. And Blake Taylor saying, those lugs are interesting. They are. They're hinge style lugs. This thing is designed to fit on a human forearm. It's not designed for elephants. It's not designed for Neanderthals. I wore it. It looked weird, but it did fit. Okay, jumping right back in, I can see we've got some friends late to the party with Dustin Van Patten, but asking a blue dial acceptable for the most awesome watch in the world. And I can see Artemio Victor Sanchez, good early morning from Manila. Thank you, man. Art, thanks for joining us. And I can see Smoke Eater asking, can it make toast? It can, of your bank account. Jumping right back into the new watches for the year. What if you like your complications one at a time? Well, the 5170 is dead, and long live the 5172G. Patek Philippe cutting right to the chase. No yellow gold debut model here. We're getting a white metal out of the gate. This is the successor to the long-running and legendary 1463, the long line of Patek Philippe water-resistant chronographs. So let's talk about it. This one is a showstopper, and I give Patek huge credit for not forcing us to buy yellow gold and rose gold for years before giving us a white gold or platinum option. Details matter too, and this one is rife with them. Check out the granular matte dial. Granular dials are a thing with Patek this year. Matte blue with applique white gold Arabic numerals, and check out those white gold syringe hands. All of it fully loomed. Unlike its predecessor, which was not always loomed, this one is. And the lugs are sharp, chiseled, stepped, arced, and clearly thrust outward from the caseband. You can see that break between caseband and lug. It's pronounced. This is no chronograph Calatrava here. You can see on the flanks no longer rectangular pushers, now vintage-style pump pushers. And all of these features are inherited, if you note that, from the 2017 5320G perpetual calendar. Check out those numerals, check out those syringe hands, and check out those lugs. Well chosen. Themselves borrowed from the vintage reference 2405. Size changes too. We enlarged from the 5170's 39.4 millimeters to a more robust and contemporary 41 millimeters. Check out that dial and caseband, but you can see a lot of the changes that have occurred. Not just the diamond indices on the old 5170. The 5170 was not loomed. about its indices. It was not a gorgeous syringe hand combo, it was a Dauphine hand. It featured rectangular pushers, and the lugs were one and the same as the caseband. We have upgraded big time with the 5172. I think it's a progression, even over the most desirable and ultimate of the 5170s. So, this feels like a bigger upgrade over the predecessor model than any other new Patek Philippe watch for 2019. What is the cost of improvement? Well, $73,710 US dollars. Jumping straight in, I could see Dustin Van Patten saying this one is going to be hot. Blake Taylor, those syringe hands are money. Reminds me of my Hamilton Khaki King. Laugh out loud. You know what? That's not a bad thing. And yes, I just compared a Patek to a Hammy. Be gentle. I will. We're of one mind here. I could see Brick Lane saying, I think a response to a prior comment. I'm losing the threads of conversation. You guys are a world within a world in the chat. And then I could see Jesus, this is the original comment, asking, Tim, do you shower with your glasses? No, of course not. I have one of those guys from the video crew hold them. Of course. Duh. Okay, jumping right back into the program for the evening. We have one hell of a prediction made good from last week. You remember on my show last Monday when I guessed, an informed guess, but with no prior information, that there would be a new generation of Patek Philippe movement for 2019? Well, we have it, a new automatic, and here it is. Caliber 26-330 SCJSE, an automatic successor to the long-running and well-worn 324 center rotor. And here is the vessel. Maybe I buried the lead right here. Patek Philippe 5212A001, the 5212-001, an all-new stainless steel watch with an all-new complication. This is the first ever weekly calendar. It is a day, it is a week, it is a date, and it's situated on a lush matte cream dial, silvery opaline in Patek speak, with blackened fluted Dauphine hands and blackened, polished, and faceted white gold dart style indices. The print, the font, is designed to look as though handwritten, as it would have on a calendar watch of the mid-20th century. 40 millimeters in a graceful case of stainless steel, only 10 millimeters thick. And look at that fluting. Absolutely gracious, arcing, and the override between the bezel and the actual lug fluting is simply sublime. But expect a sizable wait before you're able to pay its retail price of $33,450 US dollars. Jumping back to my chat box and my friends, I could see Marco Barsi saying, 5212A, I love it. And I can see Sean M saying that is on fire. Jesus Rico saying, Brick Lane, I knew it. I thought they were welded to his head. They come off occasionally. And I can see Selton Photog, my friend from Miami. I met him down at Watches and Wonders, joining right in. Artemio, joining us from Manila, says, awesome combination of colors. That is art and pilot style. 123 is a fan. That is gorgeous. But we've got more. If you liked the burly scalloped lugs of 2015's 5905 annual calendar flyback, I've got good news. It's back. You are going to love the raw power of the 5905 R001. Rose gold, and check it out, guys, still 42 millimeters with a sector dial that is bounded, if we can go full screen with these, by solid gold sectors. Those are not printed features. Those are solid gold dial features creating the sector effect. You're going to love the fact that this one is a knockout sunburst, brown bronze, with a gradient fade from the center to nearly black at the periphery. This one's got a lot of power. You can almost feel the heat coming off that dial. And for $65,770 US dollars, it's a lot of gold and it's a lot of watch. Automatic annual calendar flyback chronograph, a lovely piece. Backtrack a little bit. Since the 2016 arrival of the 5230G Calatrava World Time, we've been getting our Enamel Calatrava World Times in the form of a model that carried over from the previous generation. That was the 5131. That was the canvas, if you will, for the cloisonné enamel of Patek's artisans. Well, guess what? No longer. The 5231J is here, and it is absolutely stunning. An application piece as ever. You're going to have to wait, but you do have a few options. The optional world time dials flanking a cloisonné enamel center allow you to choose between the Americas, shown, Africa, and Europe, in cloisonné enamel, with gold cordons between the land masses and the water. The enamel shading and the layers of enamel, the actual thickness, not just the color, but the thickness as it applies, creates the shading, the intensity of the land and the water masses. You can see that continental shelf effect around the continents. Given the importance, I have to emphasize, of Asia to Swiss manufacturers, I am actually shocked that Asia and Asia Pacific did not launch as an option here, but then again, I feel Patek might be saving the best for last. Just as Patek generally saves white metals, gold, steel, rarely titanium, and platinum for subsequent editions of its new models, I would not be shocked if we had an Asian landmass special edition down the line that is introduced in steel, white gold, or platinum, or perhaps as an only watch for the next running of that contest. Of course, it is an application piece and then they have to make it, so there will be a wait even at an estimated six-figure price. But if you're willing to wait, the six-figure markup's going to be an aftermarket thing. This is technically a $73,000 watch. Jumping into my chat box, Dustin Van Patten saying the enamel work on the close-up is magical. Rich Buddy saying there are only 2 to 3 people at Patek qualified to paint that dial. This is true. And then Pet Shop Boy is asking, how is the new movement different from the 324? I think the big difference is going to be that it features hacking seconds. So that's going to be the #1 change. Guys, we are going to run next Monday's show as usual, so still send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. Comment below which of the new Patek Philippe watches for 2019 was your favorite, and tell me what else would you like to see from the Baselworld trade participants throughout this week, and what would you like to see from me in terms of special features? Remember, I'm not at the show. Health-wise, there were some considerations, but I am still your man in the ring with all the new model debuts. Everyone who joined me at weird times or took a break shielding yourself with your phone while the supervisor walks around the office, double thanks. Time out, Tim out, and thanks for logging on.